So this is also related to cheating. So the very first case of plagiarism have came in 80 AD when Mr. Martial, that is a Roman poet, who came to a knowledge that his literature words were being copied by Fidensians, one of the person who was the another poet, without taking or giving credit to him, right? So the thing is that when we were not having cell phones, when we were not having computers or laptops or Wi-Fi, that time he just came to know that his work is being copied. So that was also one of the part or case of the plagiarism. Before going with the further explanation of the plagiarisms, we must know about what is citation. I think all of us have just heard about this word, citation, that we have to cite the work of others. What is citation? Citation is a formal reference to a published or unpublished source. Now, that published or unpublished source is the work of the other person. Take an example. I would like to give an example of one of the style of referencing, that is American Psychological Association (APA) style. Suppose we are writing the introduction part in our book chapter or in our research paper, and we have written one line. The book uses success stories from the author's own lived experiences. Now we have to tell that from where we have just got this idea, from where we have just read this line, whether we have written it in our own words also. Now, in the bracket, you can just see Stewart and Simmons, 2010. This is the citation. We have cited this author. That yes, we have just read the work of this person from here. Now, at the end, we write the reference of this person also, right? We cannot miss that. Another, if we'll talk about the another style, Vancouver style, why I'm just telling about two styles so that there is no confusion. Vancouver style, we are using the numbers. Now again, we have written in the introduction part one line, and now we are giving this number to the author. And in the reference, we just write down the name, the research work, the place, the year, all things in a reference, right? You can just see we have just quoted number one here, right? That number one reference is being quoted here, cited here. In this way, we just use the citations. At the end of the session, I would be showing you the research paper for the same, how we just go for the citations. Okay, why this is important to know before the research work? Why it is so important? Because we must go with the originality. Originality is the good source of writing work. Everything should be original. If we are just copy pasting every single thing, then what is our own? What is all about our own ideas? Critical analysis is important because whenever we have to just go for any kind of research work, whenever we have to follow any kind of research work, we need to understand the research that is being done by the other people, right? So we are using multiple sources for the same. Thirdly, cheating and dishonesty reduces the value of the work. Whenever we just copy and paste of any person's work, then the value of that work reduces, and it may also damage our career sometimes, right? So we have to use the best source for the help. We cannot use any source we just find on the internet or we just find on any of the databases. We have to use the best one. That is why we just say that we have to quote, or we have to search for the latest papers. We have to search for the best papers, right? That are being published into the very good journals, so that we may just get good ideas out of them. So forming the cited source in according to the rules of the competition. Bibliography information is very, very important. At the end, referencing part is also very, very important for our article. So next, coming to the types of plagiarism. You can just see different types of plagiarism that we face. Now we know that what is a plagiarism, what is citation. Now there are different types of plagiarism that we face. The very first is your complete plagiarism. Second is your direct plagiarism. Third is accidental. Next is self-plagiarism. Next is paraphrasing plagiarism. Next is patchwork or mosaic plagiarism. And next is source-based plagiarism. We will be just understanding these plagiarisms one by one. First of all, we will talk about the most common form of plagiarism, that is complete plagiarism. Now, suppose A person has written one complete article, right? And that is being published, or maybe not published. Now, B person just copies that and just publish that paper or article in their own name, complete article without making any change. So that is the complete plagiarism. This type of plagiarism occurs when a writer submits someone else's work in their own name. And in the history, many people have done this, right? So paying somebody to write a paper for you, then handling that paper in with your name on it is an act of complete plagiarism. It is stealing or borrowing someone's work, right? So an example of complete plagiarism I've already given you, right? Suppose someone is had to write an essay or whatever we just say, homework is being given, and the complete homework is being done by the sister of that person, right? So it is a complete plagiarism. Next is direct plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is that whenever we just copy some paragraph, whenever we just copy some of the lines directly from the research paper of some other person, right? And just note them into our own paper or code them into our own paper, and we don't cite them, right? Saying that this is our work. So this is known as your direct plagiarism without quoting or citing. Even if we talk about, sometimes definitions are being given in the inverted commas, and we just quote them into our paper or article without citing them that this is being taken from certain source. This is known as your direct plagiarism. Any doubt till now, students? Okay, so we will be having a query session at the end also. Paraphrasing plagiarism, very very important. Paraphrasing plagiarism. Now what people do, the intelligent people and the people with IQ, high IQ people, now what they use, they use their mind. They just take some of the lines or some of the phrases from the what we'll say work of some other person or other sources, right? And what they do, they just write them into their own lines, in their own words, use their words. But the original idea is of some other person. That means they are stealing the idea of that person or the source. This is your paraphrasing plagiarism. That means you change the wordings, you reuse the work of some other person. Most important is self plagiarism. Yes, self plagiarism is also one of the plagiarism. Some of your work is being published. What you do, you just take that work, you just take that content and use them into some other of one of your papers, then without citing or quoting yourself that in the references. Although you should not use the self references or whatever. If even if you're quoting your work, you should just tell uh, in the citations that this work is being taken from this research paper of yours, right? So self plagiarism is also harmful. Take an example. 2 years back, you have just worked upon one of your paper, and that paper have got published, right? Again, after 2 years, you just want to work upon the same topic, but some taking some other variables, including some other variables. You just take the content from your first paper. That is self plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism is perhaps the most common type of plagiarism, which even we can just have. It can happen to anyone. Sometimes what happens, we forgot to cite our resources in our work. We are not citing our sources correctly. We fail to put the quotations around the citing material. Sometimes what happens, we forgot to do all these things. So that is known as your accidental plagiarism. We can avoid it, yes, after just checking and rechecking our papers again and again before submission. Next is your patchwork or mosaic plagiarism. This type of plagiarism, patchwork, I would like to show you on a paper, especially uh, uh, plagiarized paper, right? Where the plagiarism is being detected. I will be just showing you at the end. So this kind of plagiarism, one phrase, we have one line we have taken from some other source, the other line we have taken from some other source. Third line we have taken from the other source. That means in patches we have just collected the data. This is known as your patchwork or mosaic plagiarism. It's very, very difficult to remove such kind of plagiarism. Next is your source based plagiarism. Source based plagiarism can be a tricky one to understand. With this kind of plagiarism, the writer might cite their sources correctly but present the sources in a misleading way. You may just intentionally make something or do something wrong in the citations while citing the person, while citing or while putting the references. For example, the writer might reference a secondary source in their work. Two of the persons have done work on the same thing, and you have just taken the content from the first paper but quoted the second paper, right, in the references. So that is a source-based plagiarism. So there are different major reasons of the plagiarism. The very first is people are lazy. They don't want to do hard work or smart work, right? They just become lazy when they are just going for any kind of work. So they say that, yes, we will just copy. Secondly, difficulty in source materials. They're not getting the sources. They are unable to just find the required resources, though. So they just take the shortcuts. They just copy it. Next is panic. There is a pressure that we have to just complete the work. Yes. Kindly just mute yourself. Now, participant, at this platform, we can just...
Please switch off your mic.
Okay. Next is sometimes we panic when we have a pressure of work. So we just go for shortcuts for copy and pasting, and we have a time limit. So in the panic, we just do the wrong do's. We just go for a wrong thing. Learning the new outcomes. Whenever we are just going for new things, we are just exploring the new things. We just don't want to work upon them. We just want to copy them. And lastly, we have a lack of confidence. Okay. Sometimes we are lacking the confidence, and we are new, we are beginners to this area of research. And in that case, we just go for some not good journals, paid journals, and we just go for this plagiarism act. Shalini ma'am, how much time?
Ma'am, half hour is left.
Okay, so meeting is just going to recur.
Yeah, we have to join again after 1 hour.
After
If you
1 minute.
After 1 hour. Because it started at 6:30. And there is a limit for 40 minutes.
Okay, so we still have time for this, na?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it was just showing me that the meeting is just going to get over. So that is why I was just asking. Okay, ma'am. So why plagiarism is harmful? Yes, plagiarism is very much harmful because most of the plagiarism is being used for the wrongdoing that we don't want. We just uh, cheat. We just it is also known as, you can just theft, right? We just pretend that the work is very, very much original, but it is not. So there are different penalties for the same, like $100, minimum $100 for if it is being found that our article is being plagiarized. Section 57 of Copyright Act 1957 also, for a person can claim for the damages under this section. Under Section 63 of Copyright Act 1957, there is a punishment of a term of 6 months, and it may extend to 3 years with a fine. PhD or MPhil students can be denied for the annual increments. So you can just see how much harmful is this plagiarism. Now, when we talk about the UGC implementation, we cannot say that this UGC implementation is not being in a, what we'll say, is not being applied to anyone. There are many cases in the past. In 2020, Mr. Mansoor Ahmed Beg, principal of Zakir Hussain College in Delhi, was alleged to the Plagiarism Act for copying all the document from other authors and not giving credit to their work. So action was taken against him. And this is not only the case, there are many cases in the past. So how to avoid the plagiarism? How we can just avoid plagiarism here? The very first thing is that we must summarize. We must summarize all the things. That means when we just read any kind of research paper, when we read any kind of book, when we read any kind of thesis, when we just read any kind of content, we must summarize them in our own shorter words, right? With the limited use of quotations. As we will use more number of quotations, plagiarism will be more. We have to quote and paraphrase. That means we have, even if we are just reading the other papers, we have to just indulge our own ideas, we have to indulge our own work into that, right? Original text should not be copied. It should be converted into our own words. Citing the original sources, the very important thing is that, as I have just shown you, that how to cite the original source, we have to cite that work. This will give the credit to the original author and may prevent us from the allegations. And next one, we will just come up to this also, where we have to use the plagiarism checker. Now, what is a plagiarism checker? How many types of plagiarism checkers we have, we will be discussing. There are free and paid softwares also. According to the limit of words, it calculates the plagiarism. That means the percentage with the source or the original one. How much we have just the copied content and how much is our content. Is it clear till now? Anybody having doubt till now?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear. You can carry on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. So there is one more kind of plagiarism, that is unintentional plagiarism. Sometimes what happens, we just face this kind of plagiarism also. Before you write your works site page, review the correct citations. I've already told that we have to just check it again and again.